Welcome. Good afternoon, Club 17. We have a great program today. It's Earth Day, and we have two special visitors, presenters with us today. Looking forward to it. And we're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now, Jane Burkhead is going to come lead us in our invocation and four-way test.
I forgot that.
You go.
I forgot that we didn't sing anymore. What? Goodness gracious! Look at all these Rotarians in person! Hooray! Woo! Please bow your heads and pray with me. Please bless and thank all Rotarians for their commitment to our Rotary motto, service above self. Thank you, Rotarians, for volunteering at St. Joseph's School, for blood donations, for leadership participants, for World Affairs, for celebrating a beautiful Earth Day, for Camp Allen, and for our new land ownership to benefit those in need. Thank you also for your time, your treasures, and your talents, for stepping up and eagerly committing to help with our Believe to Achieve auction items, large and small, all significant. As we celebrate 34 years of Women in Rotary, let us not forget, as all of our Rotarians throughout the world who live our four-way test every day. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? With our friends beside us, with the bonds of Rotary between us, with our goals before us, and no task beyond us, with a thirst for knowledge and a dream of a polio-free world, we are thankful for our Rotary friends and the meal we share today. Amen.
Thank you, Jane. Appreciate it. And please be seated. And our meeting sponsor today is our very own Brian Vielhauer, his company's Decal Impressions, which many of us know. Brian, thank you so much for sponsoring our meeting.
Oh, I always forget to turn off the mute. Thank you all very much. It is so spectacular to see everyone today. Wow, you do look better in person. With your masks on, I must say. Just a quick moment about Decal Impressions on a kind of a special day for our company, Earth Day. Some of you may know, but many may not. In the late, well, let's call it late 2010, early 2010s, 2008 or 9, we actually, recognizing the impact printing has on our environment, made a conscientious effort to make some changes. And we, I think, have the distinction of being one of the only companies at that time and to operate a pure electric delivery vehicle. So in 2008, 2009, 2010, we ran a fully electric delivery vehicle in the city of Cincinnati. We had parking permit 002. So we got to park for free at all the meters. And it was just an interesting way for our company to try to protect the environment, do some things to offset what our industry does unfortunately do, which is consume a lot of paper products, but we do work hard to recycle, use higher quality inks, lower VOCs, and do things to really make it a safe and comfortable working environment, not only for our staff, but for Mother Earth herself. So we have used many of those talents to help you and your businesses and in our fundraisers, and I'm just really happy to see everybody. Great to be back in Rotary, and thank you all for your support over what has been an exciting couple of months here in the world. Months, years, whatever. Thank you all. Good to see you, Brett.
Thank you, Brian, and really nice of you to sponsor the meeting today. And now Susan Wilkinson, one of the co-chairs of our Believe to Achieve silent auction, is going to give us an update.
Thank you, President Brett. I want to echo what Jane and Brian said. It's so great to see some of you. Some of you I haven't seen, I know, in over a year. Deborah, I'm sure I haven't seen you in over a year. So it's really good to see everybody today. Hopefully, as you have already heard, the 2021 Believe to Achieve fundraiser is scheduled for Saturday, August the 7th, 2021. This, our 10th annual event, will be held at Brain Brew Custom Whiskey Distillery, located in Newtown, Ohio, on the beautiful shores of Lake Barber. This event will raise funds to support the good works of Stepping Stones, Camp Allen, Down Syndrome Association of Greater Cincinnati, and Visionaries Plus Voices, all serving children and adults with disabilities. Don Keller and I are co-chairing the silent auction this year, and we want to thank Club 17's membership for their generous support of the Shop Local campaign. These gift cards enabled us to get off to a great start for the silent auction. As you can imagine, securing certain items for this year's silent auction are still complicated by COVID-19, but we are optimistic we can create an auction with many desirable items. But we still need your help. Please consider making a donation to the 2021 silent auction. Items we are looking for include top shelf liquor and good wine, additional $100 gift cards to Cincinnati's fabulous restaurants, tickets or gift card certificates for the arts, including the Cincinnati Ballet, the Cincinnati Symphony and Cincinnati Pops, Ensemble Theater and Playhouse in the Park, just to name a few. Also, consider one of these for 2022. Gift cards from retail establishments. We all shop in person or online, so the list is endless for retail establishments that we can support with a gift certificate. Gift certificates for family entertainment venues, including the Cincinnati Zoo, Kings Island, or Coney Island. Framed art and objects of art, themed baskets, be creative, spa services, travel packages, especially for 2022. Do you have a timeshare or vacation home or condo that you would be willing to donate for a week for our event? And lastly, sporting event tickets, such as the Reds, FC Cincinnati, UC Bearcats, XU, or the Bengals. Again, while some tickets for 2021 will still work, think about tickets for 2022. Please complete a silent auction donation form for each item that you submit. These forms are available at the registration desk each Thursday, and starting next week, you can also get the form online via the e-raise. All items must be in the Rotary office no later than July 2nd, 2021, and that is a firm date. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact Don Keller or me. We thank you in advance for making this one of our most successful silent auctions for Believe to Achieve. Thank you.
I have to raise that up a little bit after Susan. Thank you, Susan, for that announcement. A special day, Earth Day, and one of our guests today, and we're very glad he's here, is Tom Boeing. Tom is the president and co-founder of the Ohio Valley Forestry Fellowship, and we've had conversations over this year. Tom, you may not know that our club in the past has done some large tree planting projects at our property at Camp Allen out in Batavia in particular, because a lot of us remember that muddy day. So it's near and dear to our hearts. We'd love to have you fill us in about the work that Ohio Valley Forestry Fellowship does.
Thank you all. I really appreciate being invited to the Rotary Club, especially on Earth Day. This is so near and dear to my heart and the Ohio Valley Forestry Fellowship. From here on, I'll refer to it as the OVFF for simplicity. I just wanted to fill you in a little bit about us. We have been around for 40 years. And over those 40 years, we have given away or helped plant over 500,000 tree seedlings. Just this past spring, we've given away over 10,000 trees, and I'm glad our mission is more trees. And I'm glad that you guys have agreed to help us pass out more trees. I've got 100 bald cypress out there that hopefully people will take 1 or 2 home and plant this weekend. Part of there's a planting instruction attached to each of the trees, gives a little information inside about the tree. This springtime, we have given away over 10,000 trees. We really believe in partnering with other groups. We've given about 4,000 away to schools in the area, thanks to a Dr. Jim Moranis, who has, for the past 5 years, been providing the money for that. We also get involved with tree planting projects. We just did a tree planting project in the city of Loveland. We planted about 1,400 trees there. We also planted 300 last weekend at the Winton Woods Park. And this coming weekend, we're going to plant some more at Walnut Woods in front of Walnut Hills High School. So that's what we're kind of about. More trees is a win-win situation. You know, they help clean the air for us, they help us breathe, they help cool the earth, and just the natural beauty is superb. My wife and I have visited a lot of national parks and seen some really spectacular stuff, but I think the thing that inspires me the most is walking in the woods and seeing a little tree seedling and just seeing the potential that's there is fabulous. So yeah, again, we like partnering with other groups. We have done a lot of, we've partnered with a lot of groups over the years. We've worked with Great Parks, Cincinnati Parks, the Nature Conservancy, Cardinal Land Conservancy, I could go on, Cincinnati Zoo. But that's, part of our name is fellowship. And that's how we get a lot accomplished, is having fellowship with other groups. And we appreciate you guys helping us with that. We are a nonprofit organization, all volunteer run. Also on the planning instructions is information about our organization. So feel free to check that out. Our website, we just did some rebranding and have a website that I'm really proud of. So hopefully you'll see that all. And again, thanks for inviting me, and thank you for helping the OVFF with our mission of more trees. I'll be outside passing them out at the end of the meeting. Thank you.
So Tom, thank you so much, and thanks for bringing the tree seedlings. And I just wanted to give you a check to OVFF in support of the great work you're doing on tree seedling distribution, including to our club today, a check for $500. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks to all of you. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. So I have a few announcements today. Just a reminder, when you're finished eating, if you could please put your mask back on, that would be great. Thank you. And we have a few birthdays to celebrate this week. April 20th, Steve Kimball. April 21st, Gary Mitchell. April 23rd, Doug Adams and Mark Horowitz. April 25th, Wayne Jankowski. And April 26th, Jim Wilson. Let's wish them all a happy birthday. All right, it's time for Split the Pot. I think we're getting the new routine down at this point. So I'm actually going to ask our guest speaker, Ryan Mooney-Bullock, she didn't know this, if she would pull a name out of this basket. Melinda Kelly. All right. Yeah. So, Melinda, You can pick a number between 1 and 40, and I'll turn over the corresponding playing card. See if it's the Queen of Hearts. 12. Seven of Spades, too bad. So, you do get the $15 daily, and the rolling pot today was 681, so that'll go up a little bit more for next week. So thank you. If you have an interest in being in the Split the Pot for the month of May, just make sure that you contact the office by the end of this month. And you heard mention in Jane's prayer of the hands-on service project that happened at St. Joe's School in the West End this past Saturday. We had a lot of club members there, and it was just a great effort. We built 2 sheds, and the sheds are to help support their agriculture program, which we are also involved in. The sheds will be for garden supplies and tools and some other things. We had a new member part of the project building 1 shed, and thanks to Barbara Dickerson, who coordinated that part, and thanks to Bob Brandstetter, who coordinated the not-so-new member part of the project as well. So it was really, really a great effort, and the school is very appreciative. And we had a fun neighborhood coffee this week on Tuesday in Kenwood at the Panera. Had a number of Rotarians just show up impromptu, nice get-together. Thanks to Galen Gordon and Mike Schmidt, the co-chairs of our Rotary Member Retention Committee, for doing that. And a round of applause, too, for Barbara Dickerson and Bob Brandstetter and Bill Stilley for their work. And as you've seen over the past couple of months, we are starting the election process for directors and officers for our club. And really the first step in that process is to pick a nominating committee. If you have an interest, if you're not currently serving on the board of directors, we have 4 spots available on the nominating committee. There's 3 spots on the nominating committee that are per the bylaws with officers. It'll be Steve King, Melinda Kelly, and myself by bylaws. But there's 4 slots in the nominating committee that are open to all club members not currently serving on the board. If you'd like to be considered for one of those spots, please contact Steve King, and you have to do that by May 1st. So thank you. And 2 virtual meetings coming up. One you've seen is the Rotary District Conference for our district. It's actually being combined with 3 other Rotary districts in Ohio. That starts tomorrow evening. I believe it's at 6:30 for 2 hours. Then it's Saturday from 9 a.m. to 12 noon. If you're interested, go to E-Raise. You do have to register. It's free, but you do have to register in order to participate. And then, as you've seen, this year's Rotary International Convention will also be virtual, just like it had to be last year. This is open to every Rotarian. It will be from June 12th to June 16th. If you're interested in being part of that, you can get an early bird rate of $49. Up until May 7th is the cutoff on the discounted early rate. I think after that it's $65. Just go to E-Race, and if you're interested, click the registration. And then next week's meeting, just a reminder, we will not be at the Hilton next Thursday. We'll be doing a breakfast meeting at the Sugar and Spice Diner on Sycamore Street. Looking forward to that. I know that the cutoff for signups was a few days ago, but if you're interested and you didn't sign up, see Christy either at the end of the meeting or call Christy if you want to be on a waiting list for any cancellations. So now I'm going to switch gears to continue with today's program. And we're very pleased to have with us Ryan Mooney-Bullock. She is the Executive Director of Green Umbrella and our main speaker today. We're just very happy she's here. Ryan has spent the last 20 years working in science and environmental education and policy. She went to University of Chicago undergrad and was a major in environmental studies. Did some work after that in Chicago in the area of environmental policy and sustainability, and went to Antioch University in New England, and got a master's in environmental science. And her career and her interest has been environmental sustainability and all the things she's done. She's executive director at Green Umbrella, as I said, which is really a network of many nonprofits that all have similar interest in the environment and the community. And Ryan was a big help to our environmental sustainability task force of this club this year, a great resource to us as we looked for projects and ideas, just wonderful. Ryan's a native of Cincinnati. She and her husband have 4 children. They live in Spring Grove Village area of Cincinnati. And we couldn't be happier than to have Ryan with us today on Earth Day. Ryan, welcome to the Rotary Club of Cincinnati.
I'll turn it off. All right, I'll get this. Here we go. All right. Thank you all so much for having me. I cannot tell you how excited I am to be here, not just because it's Earth Day, because this is my first in-person speaking event in over 13 months. And I've got to tell you, I love speaking. Like, it's one of the best parts of my job. And so having to spend all of my speaking time in front of a computer screen has not exactly been super thrilling for me. So thank you again for having me here. I want to focus my time today on some work that Green Umbrella is doing that the Rotary Club is already involved in, but I'm guessing you might not know all the details of. But I also want to tell you a little bit about the work that we do as an organization. So I get to wake up every day challenged and excited to lead what I consider and many consider the sustainability hub for Greater Cincinnati. So Green Umbrella is a nonprofit organization that really kind of sits at the center of a vast connected web, not only of nonprofits, but of universities, businesses, public agencies, and lots of amazing individuals who are helping us advance some pretty big goals. But as Brett mentioned, I'm also the parent of 4 kids, and since what I'm talking to you about today has to do with kids, I thought that I would tell you a little bit about them. They're all thinking about the environment, but in different ways. 2 of them, who are 12 and 14, are, I'll get to them in a minute. The younger ones, who are almost 4 and 6, are at this stage where they are, gotta get my clicker here. There we go. Basking in the wonders of nature. And I hope that you all can remember times that you spent as a child throwing milkweed or dandelion seeds to the breeze, or watching water flow over and around fossil-filled rocks, or marveling, or maybe even poking at a colony of ants that you found as you were digging in the garden. This is what my girls are doing right now, and they spend a ton of time outside doing this kind of stuff. But the other 2, they still love being outside, but now that they're a little bit older, they're starting to think bigger picture, and they are very aware of the environmental crisis that our planet is in and our community is in. Of course, with Greta Thunberg making the news in big ways over the last few years, that has definitely captured the attention of my 14-year-old, right? People just a little bit older than him are leading these huge movements and drawing a ton of attention to these critical issues that are facing our entire population. So our dinner conversations regularly include topics like climate change, what we're seeing locally, why is it snowing in April? Is that normal? What the global repercussions of it are on ecosystems, the wildlife that they have so loved learning about, what's going to happen to them in different places as our climate changes. My engineering-oriented son is working on designing an escape plan, and I'm not joking. He has decided at various points that maybe his career should focus on how do we get to Mars and how do we survive there. Now, of course, I want to encourage his interest, but I have been trying to let him know that maybe it's not too late and he could harness some of his creative and technical thinking into how to get us out of the mess here on our own planet. I think that his younger brother must be listening to my don't give up on planet Earth rhetoric, because this is what he gave me for Christmas a couple years ago. It says, "The world can be saved. P.S. It is saved by you." And, you know, I think when he gave it to me, he probably meant like, "You, Mom, you're doing this." But, of course, I know that it's so much bigger than one person, even if he thinks that I am, you know, the best mom in the world, of course. And I realized that the "you" really means all of us, right? All of the collaborators who are pitching in, recognizing the need to do whatever we can to start making a difference. Now, I don't think it's an accident that my kids, who have spent huge amounts of time outside as they've been growing up in natural spaces, have been developing this care and concern for the environment. I mean, that's how I got to be where I am. I spent, you know, as I'm sure many of you did, just tons of time outside as a kid, exploring, playing, in my own world, paying attention to whatever it was that I was interested in at the time. But numerous studies are showing now that positive experiences in nature, and sorry, this is a little small, but I'll explain it, can inspire kids to love and care for the earth. So you can see here that, you know, they're just providing some different ideas of how to create nature champions. You want them to have positive experiences, of course, not something where they're being like dragged through the mud on a hot day. But how do we create these meaningful, positive experiences, preferably on an everyday basis, that allows kids to feel at home in the outdoors and feel connected and interested in the natural world around them? Studies are directly linking those types of activities with an adult ethic of care for the environment. And so when we see that outdoor play has been declining dramatically over the past few decades, I have to wonder, well, what is that going to do to these next generation of people that we're counting on to be a part of the solution? Thankfully, they have folks like Greta Thunberg who are raising awareness. But if we don't make those connections at an early age, I'm worried that we're going to kind of miss our big chance. Studies show that half of all kids worldwide spend less than an hour outside every day, and a third of them less than 30 minutes, which is less outdoor time that is mandated in US prisons, right? I imagine that if we looked at the statistics just for the United States, it would actually be worse. Because as you all know from working internationally, we have very different cultures here in terms of how structured kids' days are, how they're moving from one activity to the next, very academically focused, and many places in the world still really value outdoor play for kids. Thankfully, there is a critical mass of research building up that is showing the connections that children need to be outside for their physical health, their mental health, their emotional health, their behavior in school is positively affected from being outside, their academic performance in school. It just goes on and on. Even nearsightedness can be improved by spending more time outside. So all of these benefits, plus what we have seen over the last year with COVID, that being outside is actually the healthiest place you can be from a viral transmission perspective, are really drawing more and more attention from schools and school districts on how they can't pass up this opportunity anymore, and they really need to be thinking about how to make outdoor time, and not just on an asphalt playground, but in natural spaces, a part of the experience for their students. So Green Umbrella is really excited to be facilitating a coalition that is supporting Cincinnati Public Schools specifically in making sure that all students across the district, no matter their income level or whether their parents like to go hiking or not, has a chance to play, learn, and explore outside in natural spaces as a regular part of school. Before I get into the details of that work, I want to tell you a little bit about how Green Umbrella functions, because we're very different from many nonprofits, and I think it'll provide helpful context. So Green Umbrella is really focused on systems level change. We exist to lead collaboration, incubate ideas, and catalyze solutions that create a sustainable region for all. Rather than offering direct programs or after-school opportunities to encourage individual environmental behavior, we try to work at this kind of overarching systems level, finding the places where a change is needed, either in policies or standard procedures, so that that change can benefit a variety of organizations and the communities that they're trying to impact. So we do that work by convening teams of stakeholders using the collective impact model. And the idea of collective impact is just that you're bringing together all of the entities who are somehow connected to a problem and have a stake in solving it. By learning from a wide variety of perspectives, you have a better chance of really understanding the root cause of a problem and therefore addressing it. Green Umbrella's work is organized into 4 big, what we call impact areas, all of which are working towards creating a healthy people, healthy climate, and healthy landscape. So for people, we want residents of our region to thrive because they have access to nature, healthy environments, fresh foods, and transportation options. In policy, we want local governments across the 10-county region to reduce their climate footprint and use natural systems and smart development practices to improve their livability and resilience. In the built environment, we want property managers to improve the sustainability of their campuses and the health of people who work and play in them. And in landscape, we want our region's vibrant landscape to provide quality habitat, ecosystem services, and to connect people to place and to each other. Within each of those impact areas, we use initiatives, impact teams, or special projects to work towards specific measurable goals that require a collaborative approach. The CPS outside work, which I want to talk to you about today, really touches on all of these. So CPS Outside is this coalition I mentioned that is focused on making sure that every Cincinnati public school student has access to outdoor, nature-based education. And we really see this work as having a number of end benefits. You know, one, like I mentioned, just the physical, mental health, academic performance, behavior at school. But we also see this as a way to cultivate the next generation of sustainability champions, because we don't think it's going to happen on its own, right? If there's not some kind of comprehensive nature exposure, environmental education in the school system, and it's just something that people get from home or from watching PBS or something like that, how can we expect that it's something that really all of our residents understand? We have a huge network of partners involved in this work. So this is just the set of nonprofit organizations that are working with us. They all provide different really awesome types of programming for students. You know, I mentioned Green Umbrella doesn't do that kind of direct engagement, but all of these partners do. So we're bringing their unique perspectives and program offerings to the table. And then we also have a bunch of public agencies and even private businesses and universities who are involved in this work. And again, bringing their unique perspective to how we can tackle this big challenge. So this is a student from Gamble High School, which has an agriculture focus. It's one of the Cincinnati Public Schools high schools that has like a tech pathway. In this case, agriculture is the tech. So there is a Future Farmers of America club that is in the high school, which is pretty darn cool. And in fact, this student back here, that jacket that she's wearing, you might not recognize the logo, but that is the Future Farmers of America logo, and these kids sport their jackets super proudly. So if we're looking at what it takes to get all students outside, again, regardless of their background or their own family's personal interest, we've identified 5 to 6 key strategies for doing that. And right now, our team has working groups that are actively making all these things happen. So we're working on integrating environmental education and outdoor learning into what we call the curriculum maps. So, you know, when a teacher in Cincinnati Public Schools is teaching 5th grade, they have a map that says, okay, here's what you teach in 5th grade for each of these subjects.
So we're helping them figure out where are the places that it makes sense to go outside, or take a field trip to Gorman Heritage Farm, or bring in a partner to do a really cool experiential learning activity. We're also building out expanded after-school and break day outdoor programs. So by break day, we mean all those days off of school, like professional development days or Martin Luther King Day, where parents are scrambling for childcare. What would it look like if we hosted outdoor camps on school campuses to get kids engaged and learning? We're supporting teachers to build their outdoor teaching skills. Some teachers are already totally on board, and this is their favorite kind of learning to do. Others may never ever want to take their students outside, but we know that there's a lot of people in the middle who feel like if they just knew the right kind of tips and strategies to use, they would be really excited to get their students learning outside. We're helping connect schools to parks and other green space within a walkable distance of their school. I'm going to show you a map of that in a minute. And we're encouraging green schoolyards at every campus that are open to the community. So they're not just things that are for the students, but they're things for the entire neighborhood to use. And finally, we're starting to get into how do we expand career exposure to a variety of green careers, whether it's farming, conservation work, tree planting, energy efficiency work, renewable energy installations. There's a huge variety of careers out there that we want to make sure our students are exposed to. All right, so I'm going to talk about some of these buckets of work. So a number of the strategies that I mentioned are really academic or teacher focused, right? How do we get those teachers on board so that they're helping kids learn outside? And one of the shining examples that we have right now is at Pleasant Hill Academy. Chris Radel, who's a kindergarten teacher there, has been taking his students outside for years. And this is a community elementary school that has a beautiful campus and a focus on environmental issues. That's like its school theme. And he has just been epitomizing how to do this work. He gets his kids outside every day, no matter what the weather, and they're doing literacy work. You can see we have like a math work going on at the top, and he has been seeing tremendous results in terms of students understanding what they're reading about, right? Like literacy is not just about can you read the words on the page, but do you have some kind of context to help you make meaningful connections between what you're reading and what it is that you see around you. We want to build more teachers like Chris who are empowered to get out there with their students no matter what subject they're doing because they know it's going to help their students learn better. I mentioned these after-school and break day programs. One of the things we're really excited about is that CPS is offering a Summer Scholars program this year and next year where it's a free month of extra school, but it's like school meets camp for every school in the district. So it's not summer school like, oh, you didn't do so well in math this year, you need to show up in the summer. This is something that's open to everyone, and they're really building in exciting enrichment opportunities like camp-type programming. We've also got a lot of place-based strategies. So this is a map showing all CPS schools and whether or not they have a walkable green space, which is defined as basically a 10-minute walk from school. All but 8 schools right now can walk to a park or other green space. And so we're going to be rolling out some resources to help teachers more easily find those connections and make sure there aren't any kind of bureaucratic barriers from them using those resources. Finally, we are starting to do some serious work when it comes to green schoolyards, and this is where your Rotary Club has been starting to plug in. So this was our first site assessment of a school campus. We developed a tool as a team to help us understand what a campus has, what assets, what are the teachers interested in doing with students outside so that we can start designing beautiful interactive spaces that really engage students with nature. And so this school, Gamble Elementary Montessori, is a project that the Rotary Club is taking on this spring. We're working with teachers, with Imago, and with club members to figure out what are some things that we can build into this campus that really create meaningful experiences for students. And they are so psyched. These teachers, and I do have kids at this school, so I've been hearing about it from their teachers. Their teachers are so thrilled that visions, kind of hypothetical visions that they have had, are coming into being this school year and into the fall. So we are super excited to see this going forward. And it connects into an even bigger opportunity that we just learned of. The city of Cincinnati has been accepted into a national Green Schoolyards Technical Assistance Program. We were one of 10 cities selected from across the country to basically receive 30 months of hands-on training, technical support, and other resources so that we can move towards the goal of green schoolyards at every CPS campus. Again, things that are open to the community, designed by the school and the community, and are really not only creating great spaces for learning, but environmental resources for the community, places for gathering, places for kids to go and play after school. So we're really excited about this. We're just allowed to start talking about it this week, but hopefully you'll be hearing a lot more about how we can leverage this national partnership. I am almost done. I'm paying attention. And finally, just in closing, I wanted to say that we have amazing parks here in Cincinnati, right? We've got these destination parks. We've also got more neighborhood parks. And we can't put a Smale Park into every neighborhood, but we do have schools in every neighborhood, and they are distributed equitably. So how can we start using those spaces as places to create wildlife habitat, to improve tree canopy, to start cooling the neighborhood by increasing shaded opportunities, and to build these spaces that build student health, learning, and community connections. So we're really excited to be starting down this work. We're excited to partner with the Rotary Club to make this first pilot happen, and we hope to have lots more opportunities for collaboration in the future.
Great. Ryan, that was a great presentation. We really appreciate it. I wasn't rushing you.
I know.
I had to remember to turn the microphone on, which I sometimes forget. So we're going to take questions, and if you're on Zoom and you have a question, text it to my cell phone, and I'll repeat it into the microphone. If you're in the room and you have a question, Ryan will repeat the question so everybody on Zoom can hear it. Let's go ahead.
Okay, great question. So the question was around, unstructured play is really important. Have we done anything with Kaboom? We have not partnered with them yet, but that's a great suggestion. Do they do kind of those, like the community helps design play structures and stuff? Yeah. I'm writing it down. Good idea. Yeah, and that's one of the cool things about these green schoolyards. I didn't have too many example pictures, but oftentimes they feature, kind of creative play structures, but also play equipment made of logs and other natural materials, or what we call loose elements, so things like branches and twigs and straw that the kids can turn into forts or do whatever they want with, because it's that manipulation of the natural world that is super engaging and creates more interest, right? Like, you can only play on a playground for so long, but once you start adding in all these other elements, you're kind of engaged to be physically active and to do this fun play a little bit longer. Yeah.
So Brian, I'm interested in how long is it going to take to get to all these schools? And if we talk a little bit about some of the funding mechanisms and in-time services.
Awesome, great question. It was, how long is it going to take to get all these schools turned into green schoolyards? And what are some of the funding, both in-kind and cash resources? So we don't know yet how long it's going to take. We are just getting started on this technical assistance journey. Next week, we have our first part of the workshop. But one of the elements that includes is looking at, are there public financing opportunities? If you're doing kind of pretty intensive infrastructure projects on a number of sites, how do you pay for that sustainably? So we're interested in learning more about that. When we started down this journey, it was very much from a grassroots perspective. You know, we developed this site assessment, and we're starting to think through, okay, what is the low-hanging fruit that we can tackle without coming in and like doing a massive landscaping project? How can we start thinking about ways that kids can engage with nature on these campuses in a more interactive, meaningful way? And so that's really where we are right now, like understanding what assets are out there already, because there's some amazing campuses, but then starting to look at, okay, what can we kind of do ourselves or crowdsource with the help of folks like Rotary, but what are the things that are gonna need a little bit more like technical programming? So we do have some funds coming in through this national grant. It's about $45,000 over those 30 months. And CPS is starting to talk about putting this work into their budget, so we're just starting to understand what that would look like. And we have also are putting in a request from the city of Cincinnati to chip in some funds out of the leveraged funds budget. But we'll certainly also be looking to local philanthropic and national philanthropic sources. Yes?
Right, as I think about the Cincinnati public schools that I know of, sort of behind the school is often blacktop for like an acre. Is there any thought to tearing up that blacktop and planting grass, trees, things like that?
Great question. So it was around, you know, some of the schools that we can picture just have like a huge field of asphalt behind it. And what could we do with those to make them more natural? And that is actually where the National Green Schoolyards movement really got started. Because in very dense cities like New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, that is the norm for schoolyards. They are just asphalt. There might be a basketball court or some playground equipment, but there's very little, you know, nature interactions. CPS has a wide variety of campus types, from like huge lawns, lots of trees, tiny lots, just asphalt. And so each school will really require its own unique approach. And we'd love to get the community's input into what that could look like, right? We don't want to just come in and say, oh, here's a design for you. We want to make sure that the school and the surrounding neighborhood is really excited about whatever ends up there. Do we have any? Yeah, the question is, are Montessori schools a little bit earlier adopters, I would say, around this stuff? And they absolutely are, because kind of the child in nature is a key element of Montessori pedagogy. And so in some ways, those are the schools that have already made some great headway, either like at Dater Montessori or Parker Woods Montessori. And we want to make sure that the teachers, wherever we're working, are on board, right? But we also want to make sure we're not just prioritizing Montessori schools so that everybody gets access to this great stuff. Are there any Zoom questions, Brett?
No, Zoom people are quiet today. But we're getting great questions in the room. And if any other questions?
It does. The question is, the big question, were the primates in the Price Hill Cemetery from Imago? And I did call up Chris Clements, who's the executive director there, and ask him that very question. He said they have had many more people hiking the trails there than usual with binoculars. So I think it has created some renewed interest in the Imago Nature Preserve.
That's great. I think that's a good question to end on.
Can I do a shameless plug really quick
Sure,
here
do,
first?
please.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
We do have our annual Midwest Regional Sustainability Summit coming up May 12th through 14th. If you're interested in these issues and want to learn more, I encourage you to check it out at midwestsustainabilitysummit.org.
That's great. Yeah, it's great. Thank you again, Ryan. Great presentation. Very good. Very good. And some of us went to last year's Midwest Summit and learned a lot of good things there. And I want to give some thanks and appreciation to the people who are on our Environmental Sustainability Task Force, which researched this area for our club. Deborah Schultz is here as one of the co-chairs. Deborah, why don't you stand up for a minute if you would? And Jody DeVoy, thank you for chairing that committee. And that committee did a lot of good research, and now we're getting into the execution mode, and Jody has been nice enough to volunteer to be the project leader for the project. And that will be, and I'll announce it now, June 19th, it looks like, at Gamble Montessori Elementary School over in Westwood. More details will be given. Jody is working with Bill Stilley and the Hands-on Service Committee on that. And you'll hear more, but if you remember back to January when we had our club assembly, we had presented to the club 3 different projects for consideration, and the CPS Outside project is the project that got the top votes. So that doesn't mean we won't do the other projects over time, but that's the project we're starting with. And I'm gonna just make a little anecdotal note here, which is where I grew up, I can't tell you how many hours I spent outside as a kid. That's what I did. Other than having to sit down and do some homework sometimes, I was almost always outdoors doing various things. And I bet a lot of people in the room had that experience. And it's wonderful to think that the CPS Outside program is really going to give that opportunity to a much wider group of students. So a wonderful thing. Rotary is glad to be part of it. It's what we chose. We have a heart for children, and we have a heart for improving our community and improving the lives of others. And with that, I'm going to give a little plug for Rotary, because our theme this year is Rotary Opens Opportunities. And we open opportunities to improve the lives of others. And the reality is, as we do that, we improve our own lives in the process. We have a pin that recognizes Rotary Opens Opportunities. Thanks for the opportunities that Green Umbrella has opened to so many. This is a pin in honor. And I will give the same pin to Tom Boeing before he leaves. I also just want to say that we know that Rotary International has 7 focus areas. One of them, and the newest of the 7, is supporting the environment. And that's why this year our club launched right in and said, we're going to embrace that. We're going to do something really positive for the community as we do that. But one of our other Rotary focus areas internationally is fighting disease. And we've had a huge campaign for more than 30 years to eradicate polio, and it's down to only 2 countries left in the world, Pakistan and Afghanistan. And in honor and appreciation of you speaking today, Ryan, we're making a donation to the End Polio Now campaign in your honor. So thank you very much. So just a reminder, next week's meeting is at Sugar and Spice Diner on Sycamore, and looking forward to it. I just want to thank everybody who attended today in person here in the Hall of Mirrors. Great to be here. And everybody who attended on Zoom and participated. Great to have everybody's participation. And I'd say on Earth Day in particular, let's go out and enjoy the beauty of the creation. So let's do that. Let's have fun. And hope to see you next Thursday. In the meantime, have a great weekend. Meeting adjourned.